to the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie, and as always, I'm joined by my bud Dave.
Hello.
And we're also joined by a special guest, Meg, from the Real Chills podcast. Welcome to the show, Meg.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk all things spooky with you guys.
Thank you for being on.
We're happy
at the top of the show. Gotta thank the guests for you being on our show. You know,
of course. I had to make time. I had to talk to my assistant, but I figured it out.
Your agent is an agent manager. Gotta get someone on. Gotta put us in the schedule somewhere. The Haunted Hangover podcast. Now, I was a guest on your show. Maybe a month or two ago?
Yeah.
Time of this recording, about a month ago. But just in case. And shame on them, none of our listeners listen to that episode of your show. Mm-hmm. Tell them a little bit about the Real Chills podcast.
I would love to, yeah. So Real Chills is a podcast where people come on and tell their true life experiences. What makes it a little different is I'm a comedian in Philadelphia, so a lot of my guests are comedians. So usually, paranormal podcasts are very like doom and gloom and scary, but we try to find like the funny in it. So it's always kind of goofy and silly, but still pretty scary, honestly. So
yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, I remember when I was on your show. I think I'm a skeptic, so that was interesting. Some of the discussions.
Listen, Meg, you had the wrong Haunted Hangover podcaster on the
show. Well, on the episode, I did mention that Dave, he's a little more in tune with that type of stuff.
Yeah, a believer in all that. So
I'd love to have you on the podcast.
There you go, Dave.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like when we were on, I specifically remember my favorite thing about your show, just to compliment you, was that you were able to kind of tell these stories, and we went through all the Bloody Mary stuff. And you told me a couple of stories I had never even heard of, like origin stories of where Bloody Mary came from. And I just remember talking a lot of nonsense and talking about Ashy Mary or something.
Yeah, Crispy Mary.
Crispy Mary and all that.
Mary.
Yeah, because she actually got burnt. Yeah. She wasn't like bloody, so
she wasn't bloody.
Louis had a big problem with that.
Oh man, I was blown away when Meg told me about that. I was like, wait a second, wait. Bloody Mary wasn't bloody, she was burnt. So yeah, definitely go back and listen to that because it was a lot of fun. You can listen to me talk more nonsense and shit, and I talk a little bit about the paranormal and why I'm a skeptic, I guess, in a way, and how I feel about the whole thing. Definitely have to have Dave on because that'll be a completely different situation.
So I have to throw my 2 cents in about Bloody Mary or Crispy Mary. So ever since I was a kid, and even to this day, I have a very specific image of what I think Bloody Mary or Crispy Mary looks like. So like ever since a kid to now, like if I could just take the image from my head and plant it somewhere and like look at it, it would still be the same person I see. And it kind of looks like Mary Lou from Prom Night 2, if you've ever seen that movie. That's who it looks like. I know Louie's seen that movie.
Yes, I have. Several times. I could see that, definitely. I could see that being kind of what Bloody Mary looks like. I always pictured a bride, and I'm pretty sure I said that on Meg's show. Something along those lines. I think I said that. But to move on to what we talk about, which is predominantly Halloween, we always ask our guests, what is it about Halloween that's important to you? Like personally, like what's so special about Halloween to you?
Sure. So one big part, and I think your podcast really brings me here like year round, it's the nostalgia. Like it just makes me so happy. But another part is like I grew up in a haunted house. So it was like always spooky.
Awesome.
And it wasn't like, I don't know, you just kind of get used to it. People think you're weird, but you're just fine with it. And Halloween was a time where everyone was sort of on board with your brand of weirdness. So it was always like, I was like, this is my time. People want to sit with me. It's October,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I just remember like loving to decorate too. Like it'd be like the end of September and I'd be begging my dad to haul all the boxes down from the garage and start. And he hated it. He's like this big gruff Italian New Yorker, and he's like, every year it's earlier. Oh, my mom's like, she's happy, just do it,
It's July 4th. Why are we pulling out pumpkins and skeletons?
But honestly, there's already sightings of candy and stuff going out.
I know.
It's July.
Yeah. I already bought some pumpkins at Target, so.
Amazing. I didn't even know that stuff's out there already.
I have another question for you, Meg. And I know it's, I didn't warn you about this, so I didn't give you the heads up. Is there a Halloween memory that comes to mind? One memory that you always think of that you could tell our listeners? Just off the top of your head. You don't have to overthink it.
I have two really quick ones. One is my dad had a smoke machine. He was obsessed with it because he would wait for kids to get right toward, like when they're right by the door, and he would spray it and they would run away screaming because it scared them. So it was great. He was evil. He loved it. It was so funny. They would be so scared. And the other is, again, everyone knew my house was haunted, so a little kid came up and got his candy, and my mom said she heard him say, "I thought the house was scarier without the decorations."
Oh, wow. I love that.
Wow. So funny. Wait. What did the house look like?
It's not that scary. I mean, now it's like it's like two houses connected, but the one is pre-Revolutionary War. It's from like the 1700s, so it's kind of old. The glass is kind of, not very like opaque, I guess, and it just has a vibe, but I like
Hanging
it.
A couple of fake ghosts and skeletons made it less scary.
It made it silly, yeah.
That's great. Well, what about one more question? Because again, when we have guests, it's just fun to kind of get some Halloween memories, some vibes to start the show. A costume from the past.
Oh man, there's been
costume.
So many.
Whatever comes to mind. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
He's not.
My first ever costume that I picked myself was a chicken. I was obsessed with chickens, and it was like it looked like one of those ones where they try to they spin the signs, like it goes up over your head. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about? Those guys.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it had the wings that hung down under my arms, and I never wanted to take it off. I didn't even speak full sentences yet, and I was obsessed with this chicken costume.
That's amazing.
So number one,
how old were
for
you?
Sure. Probably 5 or 6.
All right.
Yeah.
It would have been amazing if you were 23.
25? Why?
25.
No big deal.
That's great. I don't think I've ever dressed up as... You don't see many chickens during Halloween.
No.
So it's a very rare costume.
I feel like that's a staple of a Halloween costume, though. A chicken.
Totally.
100%.
It's really
cute. A yellow, oversized chicken. That's what I'm picturing. So, you know what I mean? So I remember us talking about covering a film that stars Ernest. We're not going to get into that just yet.
Oh, man, I was getting ready to say
it came up when I was on Meg's show. I don't know if it was when we were recording or not. And it might have been afterwards. We were discussing having you on the Haunted Hangover podcast. But where do you guys stand with Ernest? Are you guys fan? Let's start with Meg. Are you a fan of Ernest? When were you first exposed to Ernest? That doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Whatever. Not exposed by, but exposed to Ernest.
I love Ernest. It's so part of my childhood. I don't even think I could. I know this is such a cop-out answer, but I feel like from a super young age, because I'm a 90s baby, so... and we watched all of it, like the Christmas special, the Halloween, and I love him. I love him as if he was my own family. He's so funny. And
I know the feeling.
You think I feel like he's a good person. Yeah, no, don't apologize. I love him.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching Ernest Scared Stupid the other day. Spoiler alert, that's what we're going to be talking about.
You don't say.
And I was sitting on the couch, and I was trying to think myself, because I was going to ask you guys, and Dave, we'll get to you in a sec. But I was thinking about it. I was like, what? I couldn't tell you what was the first Ernest movie I saw. I don't know if it was Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Goes to Camp, or this one. I don't think it was Ernest Scared Stupid. I'm pretty sure it was Ernest Goes to Camp. Mm-hmm. But what I found most interesting, just sitting there, and it was a little depressing, I'm not even going to lie, I got a little sad, but then watching the movie, I cheered myself up, is there aren't characters that just exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like Pee Wee Herman, Ernest P. Worrell, Elvira to an extent. Like these pop culture characters that just sort of, I wouldn't say they came out of nowhere, because a lot of them were on TV shows or in movies, but just out there making, Ernest was able to make like 15 movies. I won't say all of them are good, but just...
I think there's 8 Ernest movies.
Yeah. But I just... It was kind of weird how now, like, there isn't anyone. The only person I could think of, and it's not really for kids, is like Borat. You know what I mean? Like, just a character that was created in a way that he could just get his own series of movies and merch and things like that. But since I'm already talking, I just remember as a kid always loving Ernest and not knowing why. I thought he was silly, lovable. The adventures he went on were always great. I love how, you know, being obviously Halloween, being a huge Halloween nut, but even I like Christmas too. Like the fact that he had a Christmas movie and he went to camp. And he went to prison, which, okay, whatever. Cool. He went to, my man
Ernest
went to jail,
goes to prison is amazing.
Goes to jail.
Whatever.
Yes, he goes to...
It's so good.
Prison's a little different.
Prison,
yeah.
It's not as innocent sounding. Ernest goes to prison.
I mean, they had to put him away eventually after hanging out with kids for so long.
I know.
It's
and I think
only a matter of time.
Exactly. And I think that's like... I think that's just the way the world kind of evolved, where like Pee-wee hung out with kids too. And maybe people look down on that type of stuff. But again, just these characters, these larger-than-life characters that literally just came out of nowhere. It's like, poof, Ernest exists. Poof, Pee-wee Herman exists. Poof, Ed Grimley exists. You know what I mean? Like, just these... I don't even know if you know who Ed Grimley is, but he's another character that had like a cartoon at one point, a TV show. Crazy, crazy stuff. Dave...
So
when were you exposed to Ernest?
Well, I want to say one thing. So I'm pretty sure Ernest... So I know he was a big like play person. Like he was a big theater guy. Yeah. And he that was like his start. I'm pretty sure I did not do any background search on him. I should have. But I'm sorry, background info on him. But I know he started doing that character like locally. Like he was doing like TV commercials for car lots and stuff like that. And that's how his character came. Like that's how he became Ernest. And then I guess some studios like, let's make this guy a thing, and he became a thing. And like, I just love that he made a life out of that. You know what I'm saying?
He also had the TV show. I think eventually it led to like Hey Vern.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, and then from there it just evolved, which is crazy because I sometimes tell people, hey, do you know Ernest had a TV show at one point? And they're like, really? So
just like as a comedian, I have so much respect for him because like I think in our world, like as a comic, obviously he's a very physical comic. Almost I think clowning would be what people would describe his form of comedy because clowning is a lot of like risk taking and, you know, just being as silly and weird and big as possible and like to see if you can get a reaction. And I just have so much respect for that form of comedy because I could never. I tried improv. It was hard. So like the actual skill that we're seeing, you don't even realize because it's so silly and fun and it seems almost effortless, like almost like he is this person. But he's actually like a great actor, like a great comedian. And I'm jealous of his physicality. He's so cool.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I feel like a lot of these people that are known for these characters, they just become like he's Ernest, and like Paul Rubens is Pee-wee, and Cassandra Peterson is Elvira, and like Joe Bob. I think his name's John Bloom. He's a horror host, and Elvira's a horror host, but same realm where like they become these fictional characters. It's kind of crazy when you like think about it. You know what I mean?
But also keep in mind, Ernest wasn't just Ernest. Ernest was like 5 other characers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's part of it. Yeah.
His whole skill set is just, it's very large. And I don't know, like one of my friends will constantly post stuff on Ernest. Like, it's so funny. He loves Ernest so much. He'll post it on Facebook. And it's just always different screen caps of him, like in his theater days, in like smaller roles and stuff he did before he was Ernest. Like, this guy was out there doing this. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm just so happy that he made a living out of such a zany character. To me, that's the way to describe Ernest. He's fucking zany.
Yeah.
And that's a compliment.
That's a great way. That's a great way of describing him.
Yeah.
Listen, I think I started watching the show before I watched any of the movies. So I can't remember when I was, introduced to Ernest Scared Stupid particularly.
But yeah, let's jump into Ernest Scared Stupid.
From Touchstone Pictures. First there was Jason, then there was Freddy. Now, terror has a new name. Ernest Scared Stupid, an all-new movie rated PG, starts Friday, October 11th at a theater near you.
So Ernest Scared Stupid was released on October 11th, 1991. Want to hear something really depressing? This is the second to last Ernest movie to go theatrical because it bombed. It made no money, which is,
Yeah, it didn't do well.
I think the film after this is Ernest Rides Again, and that one did even worse. So after that, all the Ernest films were released or basically financed independently and made as independent films, and all direct to VHS at the time because this was the 90s. It stars Jim Varney, of course, as Ernest, which we just gushed about.
Rest in peace.
Also, rest in peace. Also, Eartha Kitt as Old Lady Hackmore.
Yeah.
Also rest in peace, which is super depressing when you think about it, that both of them are no longer around. It was directed by John Cherry, who directed all of the Ernest movies minus Ernest Goes to School, which I remember not being very good. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Ernest Goes to School.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's probably on the lower end of Ernest films. I wouldn't call it the greatest one. Another fun fact about this was all the troll and creature effects were done by the Chiodo brothers, who are notoriously known for creating the Killer Clowns and directing that movie and all the creature effects.
And there's some very similar looking clown-looking trolls in that, in one of those, a few of those trolls.
That's awesome.
Yeah. one more little bit of information here was it was shot in Nashville, and you can tell, and we'll get into that a little later. It was shot. It's not Missouri. That's Nashville, 100%. Like you could tell. Like it's like Briarwood, Missouri, I think. Is where the movie takes place, which I don't know if that's even a real place. Do you guys know? Do you guys know the map?
I don't know, but I actually do. I actually have a little. This literally just popped into my head. I have a little fun fact here. Part of it might have been Ernest Scared Stupid. My friend used to own a tattoo shop in Nashville. It was called Gold Club Electric. Unfortunately, it got severely damaged when they had that tornado.
Oh, wow.
A couple years ago. He's in the middle of putting together a new shop, but I remember him messaging me saying, I just want you to know that they shot part of Ernest Scared Stupid in this parking lot. And I was like, that's incredible. That's incredible.
So let's go into the film breakdown synopsis, or whatever you want to call this, the Louis synopsis. So the film opens up in the late 19th century. We learn a troll by the name of Trantor, I believe is how you pronounce it. Am I right, guys? Mm-hmm. Trantor. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name. He's been terrorizing Briarville, Missouri by turning the town's children into small wooden dolls and taking their energy or spirit, I guess. That's like his food. That's what he survives off of. Is kind of what I got. They never fully tell you. You learn why he's doing it later.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, well, he needs it for a reason, but early in the film, they don't really tell you why. They're just like, oh, he feeds off of the energy of children. So the townspeople work together in capturing Trantor with the help of Phineas Worrell, Jim Varney as a completely different, like a deadpan serious character during this.
It's like a preacher or something.
Yeah.
It's really odd because in like 5 minutes he's just Ernest. So it's and all the other characters, which we'll go into that later. But yeah, it's weird how he's like the stoic, like deadpan serious dude, and this is Ernest P. Worrell's great-grandfather. They bury the troll in the ground, and they use an oak tree to seal the crypt. Some black metal shit right there. That shit's tough.
I do have one complaint with that, and it's why don't they just kill him? Every movie, it's like, oh, our ancestors were like, we're just going to put you in jail. And it's like, no.
I'm
funny pro death penalty for monsters.
You want to know something funny, and I'm sure I'm sure we'll cover this movie one day. But you know what this reminds me of? The whole tree burying the corpse where a tree is. Sleepy Hollow. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. Because if I remember correctly, they behead the horseman and they put him in the ground, and like this giant tree grows where like his sword is placed. And I was like, wow, interesting. Were they inspired by Ernest Scared Stupid?
Ernest.
I highly doubt that.
I just had the dumbest thought, and I have to share it. Imagine if they made a Pumpkinhead movie with Ernest, and like Ernest is like trying to say stupid shit to Pumpkinhead. Like, that'd be fucking hilarious.
That'd be amazing.
I don't know why that just came into my head, but
I do. Some T-shirt company recently, I forget which one it was. Sorry, I highly doubt you're listening to our show. Maybe, you never know. But they created a T-shirt and like a print and stuff and a fake VHS, and it was like Ernest meets Jason. And
I know what you're talking about.
And it's like Ernest screaming and like Jason's behind him. I was like, wow, that's a crossover I'd love to see as well. That and Pumpkinhead. That'd be fucking perfect.
I hope John Cherry's listening. Maybe we could do something here.
But yeah, Tranton the troll puts a curse on the World family. Trantor. I knew I was going to butcher his name.
You're changing it to Trenton.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like Trenton, New Jersey.
Trantor puts a curse on the World family, stating that he can only be released on the night before Halloween, very specific, by a Worrell. It's a really ill-conceived plan, considering, he stayed there for 100 years or something like that. So, Trantor is an idiot. Tranton. I'm just going to call him Tranton the rest of the episode. I also want to point out that the curse will cause all future Worrells, like his ancestors, to get dumber and dumber as the years go on and on. And there's a great transition because the character of Elizabeth, one of the little girl that's friends with the main boy, Kenny, she's telling the story in class, and it cuts to her saying his ancestors are going to get dumber and dumber, and then they cut to Ernest, like, with like a silly face really close, just to kind of cement that he's an idiot, Ernest. But yeah, we jump forward several years, and we meet lovable and dumb Ernest P. Worrell, who's a garbage man for the town of Briarville. I'm going to pronounce that too. Briarville?
I think it's Briarville. I think you're right.
Briarville. And his dog, Rimshot, which is the cutest little dog, looks like Wishbone. Which I love. I don't know if you guys remember Wishbone. Yeah.
Loved Wishbone.
He looks just like Wishbone. And I was watching and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about Wishbone until watching Ernest Scared Stupid. It had been a minute.
Am I wrong for calling Ernest the blue-collar Pee-wee?
That's a good...
no, that's very accurate.
That's a great way of describing him, honestly.
The working man's Pee-wee.
Yeah, he is the working man's. I like that, too.
Dude, if you think about it, he's like... In Ernest Goes to Camp, he's the janitor. In Ernest Goes to Jail, he works at the bank, and he's like... I think he's the janitor there, too, or he cleans the bank or something, if I remember correctly. In this, he's the garbage man.
My man, he's blue-collar.
He is blue-collar. So in attempt to help his middle school age friends, as creepy as that sounds, by the name of Kenny, Elizabeth, and Joey, he helps them build a treehouse after a group of bullies destroy the kids' haunted house. They have a small little haunted house, which I'm sure we'll get into in a bit. But those asshole kids destroy it, and they kind of want to
Murdochs.
Yeah, the Murdochs. There you go.
The Murdochs.
They fucking
They
suck.
want to... They do suck, and that kid has a serious mullet, one of them. But I do like how his bright idea accidentally is for them to build a treehouse to defeat the bullies, I guess. That's kind of the whole thing. It's like, oh, we're going to build this treehouse so that if the bullies come around again, you can win this battle. That's basically why he encourages them. He doesn't even encourage them because he accidentally does it. There's this whole scene where he's portraying all his different characters, and he accidentally is like, hey, the higher ground, we need a treehouse, Kenny says. Okay, cool. After they build the treehouse, Ernest unknowingly releases Trantor by choosing the same oak tree his great-grandfather planted and trapped the troll under. This triggers Trantor's resurrection, I guess, because like you said, Meg, he just was alive down there. He never died technically, so I know maybe I'm wrong in calling it a resurrection. It's more so like he was taking a long nap, and then when Ernest showed up and he nailed in a hammer and started knocking on the tree like an asshole, it sprung him to life, and I guess it gave him energy. It's a children's movie. I'm overthinking these things like I normally do. One by one, Trantor begins turning the children into wooden dolls and taking their energy / soul. They never want to say that, but I think that's what it was. The Troll's plan is to grow his offspring and destroy the town, and I'm assuming the world, because that's every villain's fucking plan. But he needs five children's souls specifically to do this. I want to point out, I want to know if you guys agree with me or not. Does this come? This is like an Ernest slasher movie almost, with a troll. Like the kids are being picked off one by one. And I do you agree with me or no? Obviously there's a supernatural element with the troll, but it's very much like a safe way of making a kids slasher movie. And this is one of the only movies I could think of that did that.
And I think they have some great jump scares. I was impressed. I forgot.
A couple are on my list of things I love, and we'll get into those in a sec.
Okay, sorry.
Of course, no one in the town believes Ernest, including the mayor and Sheriff Binder, who just so happens to also be Kenny's dad. But with the help of Kenny, the town weirdo, old lady Hackmore, Ernest is able to discover Trantor's weakness, unconditional love, and milk, and stop him once and for all.
She told me about this troll that had red glowing eyes and walks like this. And if he ever gets loose, he'll go after the children first. And he turns them into little wooden dolls, which gives him his power. And that ugly little rascal is still alive down there.
All right, guys, so I want to discuss the plot of this movie. I just said that it reminds me of a children's slasher movie. Obviously, it's funny because I remember watching this movie, and I was very young, 91. I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I don't know math. And I remember being kind of creeped out during specifically when the troll would capture a kid. And like that weird transition in between human and wood doll. It was always freaky to me. And honestly, and I can't think of many other films that go this route. Obviously, kids, trolls are notorious as far as I remember for taking kids and eating kids, I think, if I remember correctly. So this was a safe way of doing that. And it's really original. What did you guys think of the general just plot of Ernest Scared Stupid? Meg?
I thought that I really liked that, like, sometimes with scary movies, there's like a lot of holes where you're like, why are these people making, a fort in the woods? But like, I felt like with Ernest, everything made so much sense to me. I was like, this is so perfectly constructed where I'm like, yeah, of course they go to the woods. They need high ground. They need, you know what I mean? And like, of course Ernest would do this, like there was no part where I was like, that doesn't make sense. And like you said, I felt like the villain was really freaking scary. He had we mentioned the jump scares. He could do the voice thing where he took the voice of your friends.
Yeah, that was really kind of creepy. That was probably the freakiest thing that the troll had power wise, which I think you see him once standing there after mimicking one of the kids' voices. But yeah, just kind of the overall troll in general, that concept is really creepy. And the only other movie I could think of that's horror is Trolls 1 and 2. That's what comes to mind when I think of horror troll movies. What about you, Dave? What'd you think of the plot of the movie? Just kind of the whole troll villain thing.
I think I have to agree with Meg here, where I was watching this and I questioned nothing. I was just like,
which is rare.
I just want to watch this. It's Ernest. It's an Ernest movie. What are you expecting? So it's just fun. I was just along for the ride the whole time.
And going back to what you said about Ernest, Meg, so things just kind of happen to Ernest, and he accidentally becomes the hero and makes choices that are the right choices, even though he doesn't mean. Obviously, he fucks up because it happens in every Ernest movie where everyone doubts him, he fucks things up, and then he has to kind of fix things at the end of the movie. And it happens, I'm about 90% sure that's like the basic way they write every script for an Ernest film, from beginning to end.
I also noticed that he has like a perfect plot device in having Rimshot, because there's a lot of times where he's alone with Rimshot talking things out. And I'm like, oh, there's no other way where this would be so like, where I wouldn't question it. But it's perfect to have him just like, you know, going back and forth to Rimshot about what he should do. I'm like, this is great. I love this.
It's like, besides Kenny, Rimshot's the like co-star of the
yeah.
movie.
He's in like every
a dog.
Scene. Yeah.
Am I wrong for saying that little kid's like a little grown-up Kenny? He's like a little grown man.
He's
like,
lame.
He's a little middle-aged. He's a little middle-aged young kid, basically.
He's like a 12-year-old and like a 35-year-old, like with a 35-year-old mentality.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments with Kenny, and we could just segue into the cast here, but one of my favorite like moments with Kenny is towards the end, where he's about to get caught by the troll and he grabs like the water gun confidently like it's a real gun and starts shooting the milk, but it doesn't work on the troll. I was like, damn, he does it like a little adult. It's weird. It's
what I'm saying.
Trait.
Let me say one thing about these.
Yeah.
These kids in this movie have absolutely no supervision. These parents do not give a flying shit where their kids are. They're allowed to stay out late. They're allowed to hang out with Ernest in the fucking garbage truck. I mean, these kids.
Well, the sheriff kind of gives Kenny shit from time to time. He's like the only one who's like, oh, you know, you shouldn't be hanging out here. Blah. He's the only character. Speaking of which, where the fuck was Kenny's mom? She pops up in like 2 scenes. Like, they did not give that actress much to do. She's just there. Oh, what are you doing here, Kenny? When he's outside in, like, the garage and the bullies pretend to be trolls. It's just like she comes in and goes. It's such I found that really interesting watching it. I was like, I feel like moms were not that important in this movie, which is kind of fucked up to think about.
They
like,
probably
even the mayor,
just felt
his wife.
They had to give him a mom. Like, they probably just like, oh, he needs to have a mom in this movie. So they probably just threw someone in there because she really doesn't serve any purpose.
Yeah.
She's just there.
You could have took her out.
All the moms. Yo, all the moms. Even Elizabeth's mom in that one scene.
You could have took the mayor out, too. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of, and I don't want to go into cons just yet. I want to go into things we love and just kind of talk about. We'll go into cons much later. But yeah, what about Eartha Kitt? What did you guys think of her? What did you think of her?
Loved her.
Yeah.
I loved her costume. I loved that she was crazy, but like, not insulting crazy where she's like dumb or paranoid, like just like, you know, really smart and sassy, you know?
Yeah. I love her costume.
A good word.
Yeah, she's very sassy.
Yeah.
It's Eartha Kitt, man.
Yeah.
She was Catwoman. Come on, guys.
You know what's funny? You said you love her costume.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of a really funny bootleg shirt to make because she has a fucking flamethrower.
Yeah.
So someone should make. I don't know if you've ever seen Meg. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Exterminator, but there's a movie called The Exterminator, and the guy uses a flamethrower. This would be really funny if you didn't know what the movie was. I think you'll definitely find it funny. But if they made a bootleg shirt that said The Exterminator with Eartha Kitt on it, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
From the movie.
Yeah.
Totally.
One of my favorite characteristic of her is how she's obviously overacting in every scene she's in. She's going crazy and super hyper. I love her eyebrows. They're like huge, bushy, and then her hair. It's like, wow, what an interesting look they gave.
She kind of looks like Rita from Power Rangers a little bit.
And sounds like her a little bit too.
Yeah.
In reality, she kind of has like, even though like on Power Rangers, that Rita was overdubbed, but even still, like the voice that they chose, I agree, it does sound a little bit like Rita. So that's interesting. What about like, obviously we talked about Ernest. Are there any characters? Again, this is kind of a con. Are there any characters you didn't like? Obviously, Dave, you mentioned the mayor. You didn't think he was.
I mean, the Murdochs fucking suck. But I mean, they're supposed to suck. But you know, honestly though, as far as like written like the writing of the characters, the sheriff's pretty lame. Yeah. Like, there's really no development to his character whatsoever. I guess there doesn't have to be, but
yeah, he's just kind of like a sheriff and a dad. Like, you're not supposed to be here. You're wrong, Ernest. You're not supposed to be here. Why are you doing this? Why are you here? Okay, I finally believe you, son. No, I don't. Okay, like that's kind of that was the trajectory of that performance.
Such a hollow character.
What about you, Meg? Any character you didn't like? I have mine.
This is kind of for personal reasons. I don't think it's like badly written, but I hated the store clerk. Hated him because
the Tulip brothers, those two guys. Oh,
I love them.
Okay.
I mean,
guy with the glasses.
The guy with the glasses that sees the troll and tries to shoot him or freaks out because he sees the troll and then it's still working and then is like yelling at the kids when they're like, "We need this to kill the troll." I'm like, "You saw the troll, dude. Why aren't you letting them take the milk?"
Troll away spray, $19.95 a piece. 2 Bolivian Army slingshots, $9.95 each. Day Glow Troll waders, $119.50. Oh, Troll Ninja Nimchucks, $9.95. Slime Proof Troll Gloves, $49.95. Chopped Troll Bait, $3 a pound, 50 pounds. 14 No Troll Strips, only $9.95 each. And 1 Trolling Motor, $79.95 for a grand total of $1,749.98.
Plus tax.
Plus tax.
Does that include the giant album with every troll love song ever written?
Do rattlesnakes kiss carefully?
I'm going to be honest. The Tulip brothers. I'm not crazy about those characters.
Why?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. They're honestly...
All right, let's end the episode now.
I'd rather remove them from this than the mayor. I don't know why. Like, I get why the mayor was there. You know what it is? Every time they were on screen, I don't hate them. And honestly, there's not a lot about this movie I don't like. But they're my least favorite. Now, the actor that plays, I don't know if it's Bobby, the skinny guy, the little guy. He was in Ernest Goes to Camp with the cafeteria dudes, the chefs.
Well, those two guys are reoccurring characters in the Ernest world.
Yeah, but I think the one of the actors is different than was in Ernest Saves Christmas and Ernest Goes to Camp. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of them, not the small guy, the heavier set guy. I think it's a different actor in this movie. I might be completely fucking wrong, but I'm pretty sure. The previous guy, remember his eyes move in Ernest Goes to Camp every time he thinks? Do you remember that? Do you guys remember that?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
I can see it clearly.
I think that's a different guy. So I don't know. For me, the Tulip brothers didn't land in this film. Watching it this time around,
I have to correct you on something here. So the lines that one guy says are fucking hilarious. Listen, I want to start saying these regularly. Where he says, "Hold on, does a fat puppy hate fast cars? Does a one-legged duck swim in circles? Do rattlesnakes kiss carefully?" Those are fucking great.
That is really funny.
On Letterboxd, I've been logging in every movie I watch on Letterboxd, and my review for this movie was, "Do rattlesnakes kiss carefully?" That's all it was.
I don't know. To me, every time we cut back to them, I was just like, all right, get back to the troll and Ernest and the kids. Like, I don't know.
I love those guys. I thought they were a highlight of the movie. It's interesting.
I don't hate them, but I wouldn't say they're like my favorite. They kind of pull me out of like the whole Halloween aspect of the movie, and that's just me. Like, I just feel like that's what was kind of missing with them. I wish they're just like these like money hungry dudes. That's it. They're just money hungry guys who run a business and want to sell like all kinds of contraptions and bullshit to make money and rip people off. I was just like, okay, whatever. Go back to Ernest trying to fight and defeat this troll. That's kind of like what, and I'd rather Earth a Kit. You know what I mean? To me, okay. That's just my opinion.
I see what you're saying.
You're allowed to have these opinions.
What about the creature effects? What'd you guys think of that? I think it's fucking top notch in this fucking movie.
Absolutely,
love it. Yeah,
and you can tell specifically at the end battle, which we'll get to that because I didn't cover that at all in my breakdown of the movie. But you can tell it's the same dudes that created the clowns from Killer Clowns. Like, you can those guys are so talented, and I really feel like they're underrated when it comes to creating these creatures. Like, I can't think of anything else they've done besides Killer Clowns from Outer Space and this.
I'd have to look it up, but I can't idea.
And the giant sperm monster from, what's the name of that drive-in horror movie? It's like a grindhouse. It's different short films. I forget the name of it, but it's been a long time. But there's like a giant
Sounds
sperm.
Terrifying.
There's like a giant sperm. It's supposed to be like silly and dumb. There's like a giant sperm. I'm pretty sure they created that. I completely forgot the name of the movie. It's been a few years since I've watched it. But yeah, just like how gross the trolls look. And like Trantor he has two noses, which is fucking creepy.
Dude, those effects on Trantor are great.
He's like always wet and gooey and slimy and snot coming down out of his nose, and
this might ruin part of the battle, but it does have to do with kind of like the special effects. I am convinced the scene where he kisses the troll and pulls away and there's just strings of just goo. That is a core memory in my, like, that is going to flash when I die. Like, you know, when your life replaces you, that's going to be a scene I see. Cause that is, when I saw it as a kid, it changed me as a person. I was like, oh my God, that is horrifying and cool and gross. And I loved it so much.
It's funny because when I was a kid, I don't think it grossed me out at all. But as an adult, I'm like, all right, that's pretty fucking nasty. Like,
no, thank you. It ruined me. I was like, oh.
You know what else? You know what other scene is fucking sick? And I'm pretty sure, Dave, you probably appreciated this scene too. Towards the end, and we're segueing. This is my segue to get to the ending of the movie and that whole how it ends and everything that happens. But when Trantor is inside or under the cavern, under the oak tree or whatever, he's getting more powers, or he's asking the demons to give him more energy or whatever. He's got all these like tentacles and his claws grow. Sick. Like the way they achieve those. There's that one shot of his hand, and his claws are just growing, and his yellow shit's all over them, and just his silhouette where you really can't make out, you know, what's happening to him. It's really kind of distorted by the shadows and stuff, and you just see these like antenna things growing, like just great. I love the way they achieve that. And again, I think these dudes are so underrated. Like, why weren't they like Tom Savini? Like, why weren't they creating thousands of monsters in the 80s and 90s? You know what I mean?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess, because when you watch a movie like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, similar effects. Like, honestly, even though this is an Ernest movie, these effects hold up against any movie at the time. Even like something like Jurassic Park. Even something crazy, which was 2 years after this movie came out. Like, these effects are fucking awesome. Again, my opinion. Someone might be like, Louis fucking crazy. They look kind of hokey. But Trantor specifically, and even his offspring, all his, like, I guess his, like, babies, look fucking great. And the asparagus, not asparagus, the, what does he call them? Not asparagus.
Brussels sprouts.
They look gross. Like the seeds, the eggs or whatever they grow from, they just look fucking nasty.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So awesome and so well done. Not enough love for the Chiodo brothers, I'm telling you.
Yes, it's good. The crowd goes wild. I'd like to thank you each and every one for this beautiful bowling trophy. Thank you, 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 thank you.
He never knew when to quit.
Now let's dive into the ending of the movie, because the kids eventually find out that the weakness, or Trantor's weakness, is milk. Because it's actually teased throughout the entire film, because there's like ice cream. He sees a milk truck, and while he's chasing Ernest or Kenny, and he's scared of it. Like, all of that, they really do. Even when he first appears, they tease that milk's his weakness, because I think Ernest kicks over a cooler that has a little carton of milk in it, and he runs away.
You mean Miak, Lou? Come on.
Miak. We're getting to that. We're getting to that in favorite things. But yeah, I think the fucking, like, the battle at the end when the kids show up with all the milk, and the townspeople, and like Eartha Kitt and the two brothers, was it the Tulips, right? The Tulips?
Yeah, the Tulip brothers.
Yeah. When they show up, like, everyone works together to defeat the trolls and all the evil troll babies, I guess. It's just so great. Just a lot of, and then they even bring back Ernest with all his personalities, pretending to be the different characters who have, their own way of describing what's happening during the final battle. Such a great like scene, just an execution, especially when it comes to like Halloween. Just that combination of these creatures, the people, the townspeople dressed up in their costumes. Like, the visual to me is just perfect. Just the way it embodies Halloween to me. I don't know why. Like, and the fucking evil tree in the center of everything. You know what I mean?
Let me just say something. those town people fucking suck against fighting those trolls.
They get fucking their ass kicked until the kids
so bad.
Yeah, it is really well choreographed too. It feels like a music video. The way it's like one shot, just scrolling around, everybody fighting.
It definitely does. Yeah, does. That's a good call.
There's that really silly gag, like before Kenny and the kids show up with super soakers filled with milk and stuff, where Ernest is just running around the stump of the tree or a branch and two trolls are chasing him. He doesn't know what to do. It goes on and on for fucking like 5 minutes. I was like, all right, these trolls are fucking idiots too, I guess. I don't know. And,
they were just born. Give them a second.
They were just born. Cut them a little slack. But yeah, those milk super soaker, like, that was amazing too. I forgot about that until revisiting the movie. I was like, what an ingenious idea to fill up the super soakers with milk. You know, it's great. It almost reminded me of From Dusk Till Dawn, where they fill up super soakers with holy water to kill the vampires. That's exactly, and this predates that. There you go. So, Ernest Scared Stupid inspired several films.
There's a scene in Night of the Demons 2 where they put put holy water in the and super soakers, and they go around.
Also, maybe they do that too. And did that come out? What year did that come out? You don't know?
Yo, you know what I just realized?
What?
That's a Halloween movie. We need to cover that.
I'm pretty sure all of the Night of the Demon movies are Halloween movies.
There's only 2, and then there's the remake.
Both of them.
Oh no, there's 3. There is 3. The third one's complete dog shit. But
yeah, there's 3 of them in the remake, all set on Halloween. Yeah. And speaking of Halloween, what did you guys think of the Halloween atmosphere in this one, Meg? Do you think it was awesome? Lived up to it? Do you think it lived up to like the decorations and the fall atmosphere? Do you think this movie has it? Honestly, honest opinion.
I mean, I'm a big fan, and I'm not as critical, I think, as you two are. So I thought it nailed it. They had leaves, they had denim jackets, and they had pumpkins. That's really all I need for a 90s Halloween. Honestly, I loved it.
What about you, Dave? And any criticism, or what'd you think of the Halloween atmosphere?
So I feel that the movie had it in parts, where I feel overall the movie has atmosphere in itself. May not be necessarily Halloween atmosphere, but like, for instance, that crypt. I like how we kept calling it a crypt. It looked like that obviously it's a fucking stage. But that whole aspect of it being a stage adds to its charm.
No, for sure.
It also looks like so many death metal album covers. Like, you could just throw in, whatever kind of fucking script or font, whatever band name, and just put it there, and, on top of the tree, and you have an album cover. But, I feel like minus the crypt and, like, minus downtown Briarville, there's not a ton of Halloween atmosphere. But, like, when they're at that Halloween gala, it's tons of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, when they're in downtown Briarville, lots of it.
Yeah,
so
the town specifically, I agree.
It has it in pieces. That's how I feel about the atmosphere of this movie. I don't know if that makes sense.
I'll say this. There's a lot of old Beastal style cutouts everywhere. They have the stringer, I forget what they call those, the things that you string up around. You see it a lot, and specifically in the gymnasium and at the school Halloween party dance or whatever. There's a lot of Halloween decorations. You know what this movie's missing? And I noticed it watching it. There's no real jack-o'-lanterns. There's no jack-o'-lanterns.
I have an answer for that.
Hit me with it.
It's because when they filmed it, it was out of season, so they couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They couldn't get any of that because they filmed it in Tennessee, and there was none of that available because the movie came out close to Halloween, but I think it was filmed in like the summer or something.
Can't you just make some? Like, you made a troll.
I mean, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they probably could make
like a
leaves.
Plastic pumpkin.
It's weird. I know.
It's like odd. A ceramic. I don't know, paper mache pumpkin.
You know what I noticed in the town square? There's literally every scarecrow just has a pumpkin pail as a head, and I think that's where real pumpkins were supposed to go.
Probably.
But they just got a bunch of... And I love a good Halloween pumpkin pail, but they literally just got a bunch of pumpkin pails and put them on top of these scarecrows because they couldn't get real pumpkins. And I think that's the one thing this movie's missing is a nice shot of a jack-o'-lantern or a pumpkin, even if it's a faux pumpkin that looks realistic, it would still have added something to it. And in 91, I'm pretty sure that existed. Like, if the original John Carpenter's Halloween was able to find pumpkins, why couldn't Ernest Scared Stupid? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
I just found it odd, because even on the cover of the movie, Ernest is inside of a pumpkin. Like, popping out of it.
That's so true.
There's no pumpkins in the goddamn. There's no like real pumpkins or even like faux real that are supposed to be real pumpkins at all in the movie. So that's like really my only critique. As far as like the rest of the decorations, I think they look awesome. And obviously it's a time capsule of 91. So you see a lot of those old school decorations, which take you back to being, a kid. So I appreciate all of that when it comes to the Halloween atmosphere. And Dave, I agree with you. That entire tree, like where that tree was built, you could tell that was a set. There's so much controlled lighting and all that shit in that specific scene. Real quick, one thing we've completely forgot, like we didn't really touch on, is how Ernest defeats Trantor with unconditional love in the heart of a child, which is great too. I just wanted to point that out, that's what he ends up using to defeat Trantor. He dances with him and gives him a big wet kiss, which Meg, you mentioned with the goo. That's how he defeats him.
And he goes, ew, and does the mouth.
the signature Ernest ew, which I can't fucking do. But it's fucking great.
Oh, you're so cute.
Now let's jump into some of our favorite things. Meg, what are just some of your favorite moments, favorite scenes, anything? Hit us with one or two.
Easily, I think this isn't even like a Halloween thing that happens in the movie, but my favorite thing is when he's like trying to rally himself and he's like, I never knew when to quit. And then it just cuts to the teacher and he's writing like, and she's like, and she's like, he never knew when to quit. And he just makes the most awful noise and she smacks his head. Made me, I had to rewind. I forgot that it played again at the end. So I like rewound it and watched it again because I wasn't expecting it and it made me laugh out loud. Like it was so fun. I don't know. Just the noise he makes. Yeah, they do. And the noise he makes on the board is so perfect. And it's a little kid dressed up in the same exact outfit. All of it. It's just, I don't have many other scenes written down, but that one I knew I was going to mention at some point because I couldn't stop laughing at it. I thought it was so funny.
What about you, Dave? It's a favorite moment, scene, something in the movie.
The Halloween gala. I mean, I think that was knocked out of the park. I mean, it reminded me of like the Halloween stuff that we used to have in my elementary school, where it was in the fucking it was in the auditorium with the stage with the haunted house on the stage. It reminded me of that. And honestly, let's see, it's probably around the same time because I'm 39. This movie came out in 91, so I would have been 8. So, so that makes about, probably like, so, like, this is literally, like, I've had this experience, and it was just such a, just such, like, a blast from the past of being able to, like, oh, I've done this. So, that was probably my favorite thing, and I also love downtown Briarville. It reminded me of the downtown areas in Halloween 4. Like, that's what it reminded me of. So, and there's just, like, just little things, like the troll effects. I fucking love those Troll effects. They look so good. The eat Miak and die. Like, just there's just so many things.
Dude. Listen, I don't know why. I always remember that stupid fucking Miak joke. Do you guys know? Is that a real thing?
I guess I'll show you guys.
No idea.
I want to know what is
what
Miak?
Is it?
Is Miak it's funny because I remember at my grandma's house she used to have something that I thought was Miak. I remember renting the movie and be like, oh, is that what Miak is? What are you going to show us, Dave?
So I was going to wear I have an Ernest Scared Stupid hat and I was going to wear it, but I was like, I can't do that. It's like wearing like a band t-shirt to the band you're going to go see. But so here's my Ernest Scared Stupid hat.
Yeah.
That's so
and on
fun.
the back It says, eat Miak and die.
Oh my god.
It's so good.
It is so good. Yo, dude, one of my favorite lines with the Miak thing, he's so confident. He's like, I bet you didn't think I could find it this time of year, when he's like tossing it around his head. And I'm like, yo, what? It's like Bulgarian. He's like, fresh Bulgarian Miak. I'm like, yo, what is Miak? I want to know.
Sorry.
No, is it a real thing? Meg, did you look this up? Is it a real thing?
I'm looking it up. It might not be, actually.
Yeah. It was just like such a dumb, it's just a dumb joke, Miak, because he's such an idiot. He didn't figure out that it was milk. He goes, Miak. So dumb. He's honestly, dude, he's got so many great lines, Ernest, in this whole movie.
Let's see how you like a little Miak. Miak? Yeah, Miak. I bet you thought I couldn't find any this time of year. Well, I'm a little too resourceful for you, a little too light on my feet. So come on, eat Miak and die.
Also, something else I love is the troll motel that he builds, confidently. Because he's so confident he's going to, capture... He ties up a doll, which there's 2 moments where he uses dolls in something. He chains up a doll and then puts, Halloween special on the dumpster.
It's a free kid.
Free kid, which is super fucking, free kids.
A little cringy.
A little cringy in 2022 just to kind of look at it with these eyes now, all right, free kids in this dumpster for the troll. It's super fucking funny. I just always remember that, you know what's funny? It always skeeved me out that he puts his lollipop on the dumpster.
Yep.
And then puts it back in his mouth. I remember even being a kid and being like, "Ew, Ernest, why the fuck did you do that?" It's just fucking nasty.
Dude, there's another line. Go ahead, Meg.
It just reminded me of the very beginning scene is hilarious to me, where you mentioned the doll, and that's what made me think of it, where there's a doll and it's either between him getting squished or the doll, and he's like, oh no, and he's like, but I have a family, and he's like, oh, I'll send them a postcard to the doll factory, and then kills him. Anyway,
I actually wrote that one down. That is funny.
Funny.
It was so weird. There's one line that he says to one of the trolls where he goes, I've watched Hulkamania 3 times, one of them in slow-mo. I was just like...
He's so... He has the best lines.
So funny.
Movie. The funny thing with Ernest is, in this Jim Varney's performance, is just how confident the character is when it's so dry, and that's what makes it... This is just how Ernest talks, and that's what I love about the character in this movie in particular. Just how confident he is in knowing he can get himself out of this situation, even though this shit's happening to him. He still can spout out this one-liner. Where when you think of an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, it's chill, be cool. It's him murdering someone. In this case, it's like Ernest just being silly, even though he's in a shitty situation. And he's the opposite of Arnold Schwarzenegger with his one-liners. That scene where he's in the back of the garbage truck always reminds me of the scene in Child's Play 3 where Chucky kills the garbage man by tricking him that is a kid stuck. Or a person stuck. Do you guys remember that?
I don't remember that. I have to see it.
There's a scene, and I believe Child's Play 3 came out in 90, 91, around the same time. So it's so freaky how there's 2 movies where someone gets caught in the back of a garbage truck and they're about to get squished. But obviously Ernest survives, and the dude in Child's Play 3 doesn't. He gets fucking brutally murdered. But I found that kind of freaky. I was like, oh shit, because I actually watched Child's Play 3 a few days ago. It was just on TV, and I was like, oh shit, that's funny that both of these movies feature similar kind of death scenes, and I use that very loosely in an Ernest movie. One more thing I want to talk about that I really love about this movie is the opening title sequence. We didn't even touch on that.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to mention it. I figured you were saving it for okay.
Yeah, dude, it's I didn't mention it because it's one of my favorite things, but it's just so well done. The music, Ernest kind of in this void with the creepy, bloody font and this hand coming in with a pickaxe and clips from old movies. It just, whoever edited that sequence together, I'm assuming it's either a title editor or the film editor itself, did a fantastic job. It's almost like a music video. They just did such a great job with that. So I want to point that out. And even as a kid, it made me so interested in finding out what these old movies were to watch. I was like, what's that movie with the big brain? And I remember hunting it down and renting it and being a little disappointed. It's not as good. Those are the best. The giant brain, I think it's like the brain from Planet, something with an E or A. I forget the exact name of the movie, but the brain
Ernest is a much better movie.
Yeah, Ernest is a much better movie. But, like, I wanted to watch that movie with the giant brain in it, like, just because, you know, of Ernest Scared Stupid. Like, it inspired me to wanna watch that. Also, one thing I'm surprised we didn't mention at all was the actual kids' haunted house. It's a really small scene because the bullies are assholes and they destroy it. But I just love how the kids build their own little haunted house out of, like, wood and cardboard boxes. Yeah. And the girl, Elizabeth, is walking them through what's going to happen with grapes and my eyes and the bats hanging. Like, that's what I think of when like kids their age like would build a haunted house. It's like perfect. Like whoever the set designer was or the prop designer for that scene, they did like a great job in capturing what a like 8 or 9 or 10-year-old's haunted house would be. So I give them a lot of credit for that.
There's one thing I would like to add here.
Yeah.
I think if Haunted Hangover is ever going to make a shirt, we need to make...
We are.
We need to make the Briarville Halloween banner that's in front of the gala.
Good. Yeah.
I've never seen that done before, and that banner is amazing.
That is
so
amazing.
That should be the first shirt that Haunted Hangover makes. I'm just saying.
Throw it out there. Okay, we might have to do that, Dave.
Manifesting this.
We're planting the seed, and hopefully it grows, and when we can make them into shirts.
And one last thought, because I wrote down a ton of shit here. When one of the trolls gets killed, there's actually like a little blood and gore. I don't know if you noticed or not. They show one of the trolls that got like dissipated or whatever, and there's like blood and shit. Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
Gross. It's when I think it's when they find out that's what kills the trolls, I think. And it's like a puddle of mush, of just like troll mush, and then like a bone sticking out and blood and stuff. It is freaky how that slid in there. I wouldn't be surprised if there like were some kind of troll guts, like more troll guts in the movie, and they cut some of that shit out. It wouldn't surprise me just because it is a children's movie. 2 more quick things I want to point out that I love about the movie that I think it does really well. And this scene specifically, I think, was executed really well. And as a kid, I always remember it because I thought it was pretty freaky. And that's Elizabeth's death scene, or her being transformed into a wood doll. The whole scene plays out where she's talking to her mom. Her mom, the actress is super wooden. And she's like, there's nothing under your bed, not comforting the kid at all. The kid is scared. And she looks under her bed after her mother leaves, and there's just a teddy bear. She's in her room alone. And after the teddy bear, she grabs it. She goes, leans up on top of her bed, turns over, and the fucking troll is in the bed with her, like, looking right at her with his snot and shit. Like, it's such a freaky, very much a slasher film, kind of just the way that plays out. Like, it's not there, then it's there. Like, really well done. Just that entire scene was just well executed.
I just thought it was wild that kid had her own bathroom in her room.
Hey, man.
Fucking 10-year-old with her own bathroom, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, living the dream over there, I guess, in Briarville.
Rim shot. Rim shot, old boy. What am I going to do? He's all I got.
Don't worry, Ernest. I'll find some way to beat this thing.
I'll tell you how we beat this thing. I'll tell you how we do it. My great-great-granddaddy put him in that hole, and so can I. Somebody with a runny nose is gonna die.
I don't think we're gonna have much, but is there anything about the movie you guys didn't like? Meg, is there any nitpicks or anything about the film you don't like that we didn't cover yet?
If I had to pick one thing, I didn't like that they had Rimshot turn into a statue. I hated that. Even when I knew he'd be okay. I was like, he's not a kid.
Yeah.
So what is this? What are we doing here? And why? Ernest has literally nothing. He has a dump truck and his dog Rimshot. Like, let it be.
They had to raise the stakes a bit with Ernest. They were like, "We got your dog." We had to they had to give him a reason, I guess, to want to kill this troll, because after Rimshot gets turned to wood, he's like, "I'm gonna get you, booger lips," and he.
Oh yeah, all the insults. Those are great.
So I get that.
It takes so long for Rimshot to turn back. Like, they do this thing where they're like, maybe it doesn't work on dog. Do you guys remember that? Where it's like all the kids are hugging and stuff, and you're just like, what is this?
Yeah, when Ernest
Why are
at the
you
end
manipulating me like this?
When everyone's family members are coming back, and he's like, "Oh, there's nothing in that big tree for me," and then Rimshot shows up. Yeah, they waited. They teased you a little bit. They teased you a little bit to make you think Rimshot wasn't gonna make it out alive. So yeah, I can see that. Poor Rimshot. He was great in the fucking movie. What about you, Dave? Any nitpicks?
There's one thing that I just thought was, and listen, there's not many things that could be out of place in this movie, but there was one scene I was just like, this didn't need to be in here. It was when all that mayhem was going on in the crypt, and he pulls out a bowling ball, and he throws it through the basketball hoop, and it hits the guy dressed up as a bee in his head. I was just like, it just didn't make any sense.
That was just funny.
I guess just to show that Ernest is an idiot and he harmed. I mean, he did worse harm to the guy than the fucking troll.
What's so funny is he goes bingo, like he got the thing. Like he's like, got it.
I guess that was towards the end of the movie, so they wanted to show you that Ernest is still a fucking dumbass. But he's
that is it. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Fair.
This isn't a nitpick. Obviously, I talked about the tulips. I wasn't a big fan of theirs. That's probably my biggest nitpick with the movie. I could see this. So this isn't one of my nitpicks because I actually love it, but I want to mention it here, and I could see someone being like, "Oh, this is dumb." So I'm nitpicking for someone else, and that's that Rimshot can drive a car during the entire.
Amazing.
I could see the three of us in telling someone, "You've got to watch this movie," and them being like that entire scene. I could see someone else. I love it. I think it's because he's the co-star of the movie. Technically, I love that Rimshot drove the pickup truck while Ernest is having this battle with the fucking troll. So I could see someone else nitpicking, but I think it's fucking great. He puts his foot on the gas. It's so fucking silly.
Listen, imagine this. Imagine a movie script being handed in where a man with multiple personalities fights a troll on the back of a truck while a dog drives it and launches yogurt and spits cottage cheese at trolls. Ernest Scared Stupid, baby.
Funny enough, Siskel and Ebert hated this movie. They
First
gave it,
movie
2 thumbs down.
they watched of the Ernest movies, by the way, and they fucking hated it.
So there you go. And again, I could see why. You okay? Listen, we love Ernest. We talked about how much we love Ernest, and we just love him to death. But I could see someone who's not a younger person. Let's say you're 20 years old or 19, putting this movie on. I could see a kid being like, "This is fucking terrible. This is horrible."
Yeah, absolutely
I could see that. I could see the dog driving the car, sealing the deal. That entire sequence, which I think that whole sequence is fucking awesome. But I could see someone
hilarious.
I could see someone else being like, "Dude, this is stupid. This is dumb." But I fucking love it. And obviously, we all love it too.
I have 2 little bits of trivia here.
Okay.
That because we've mentioned some of it throughout, talking about the film. So there's reason to believe the film didn't do well is because the film was deemed too scary for kids. The act of a troll stealing kids' souls and the troll's deaths were they look disturbing, and that's part of the reason why they I think Disney had a hand in this movie with something.
They did. They did.
It didn't do well. Yeah. So that's part of it. And this to me was the coolest fucking trivia for this movie. So that little pizza launcher that they had with how that wasn't made into a toy is mind-boggling. But The pizzas that are shown that are being thrown at the Murdochs are reused props from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Oh, wow. That's fucking dope.
Both films had the same prop master, and his name is Doug White.
Oh,
I thought that was really amazing.
Cool. That is cool.
That's super fun. Yeah.
Now I have to like watch Ninja Turtles 2, A Secret of the Ooze again, and like keep an eye out for the pizza launcher. That's fucking amazing. Do you guys have any closing thoughts? Meg, any closing thoughts on Ernest Scared Stupid?
No, I think if you haven't seen it, you should watch it right now. Like, now that the podcast is over, go watch it.
Absolutely.
Because even if it's your first time, it is going to be nostalgic and fun, and you're going to laugh out loud.
What about you, Dave? Any closing thoughts on Ernest Scared Stupid?
So this is going to sound just slightly redundant, but overall, I love this movie. I love the Ernest franchise as a whole. This may be unpopular opinion, but I compare Ernest with Pee-wee, and I like Ernest much more. I used to watch Ernest all the time as a kid, and there's just something so comforting about the Ernest world. This movie lacks in Halloween atmosphere at times, but it does have it in certain areas like the main town of Briarville and the Halloween Gala. The Crypt with the Trees has atmosphere in general, and overall, I'd say this movie is a great addition to your Halloween watch list. Would you two agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Totally. My closing thoughts are this. I think Ernest Scared Stupid is a great children's Halloween film. It's both funny and even scary at times. Ernest brings a lot of heart to this one. And I think, and this is just my opinion, it could stand toe-to-toe with some of the all-time greats in Halloween family fun. Even Hocus Pocus, which came out a few years after this. I feel like Hocus Pocus gets more love than Ernest Scared Stupid. And I think that's not good. I think it needs they're right there on the same fucking level. To us, it seems all three of us can agree on that. But yeah, if you've never seen Ernest Scared Stupid, stop what you're doing and check it out now.
You've got to stop him before he gets the children. He's got to get 5 before midnight tomorrow night.
Me? Stop that thing? You got the wrong guy.
You are the direct descendant of the Reverend Phineas Worrell. It's your legacy.
Yeah, but I'm me and he's he, and we're talking real danger here. Stand and deliver. Fire in line. Moment of truth. End of the line. 8th level Mario Brothers.
You are the only troll fighter we've got. You're the 7th son of the 7th son. You're the baby. You're the boy. You are the great redneck hope.
So that was Ernest Scared Stupid. Meg, thank you so much for being on the show and talking about this glorious film.
It was a pleasure having you.
It was a pleasure to have you. Where can people find you and your podcast?
Oh, thank you for having me. I had so much fun. This was awesome. You can find my podcast on Instagram. That's where we post the most, at Real Chills Podcast. I am also a comedian in Philadelphia, so if you're more into like comedy than spooky stuff, which would be interesting if you listen to this, but my Instagram is Meg Gets Money, and Gets is spelled like my last name, so it's Meg Goetz Money.
Check all of that stuff out. Don't sleep. Check it all out. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Haunted Hangover. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/HauntedHangover31.
And if you can rate and review us, that would be greatly appreciated.
And remember, the best cure for a hangover is
more booze.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.
How'd we do? Bye.
Get your hands on some Miak.
Yeah.